Joining us now, the Mississippi Senator representing District 52, that's Jackson County, Senator Brice Wiggins. Good morning, Senator. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning, Gerard. Sounds like Rhino's rocking in the morning there.
Trying to get energized and up and at 'em, as they say here on this Monday. Rhino's always rocking us. We appreciate that. All right,
was that a little Ozzy or somebody like that?
That was actually Journey right there. So, I'm a big Journey fan, and we have separate ways. We have also Wheel in the Sky as one of our intros as well. So, anyhow, we have fun with all that, but we appreciate you joining us. Big day just a few hours ago, right? You went public and made an announcement that you are a candidate for Congress, U.S. Congress, for Congressional District 4 of Mississippi. So, congratulations on the announcement, and tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, thanks, Gerard. It's a big day. As we have sent out in our media, and it's on our website, bricewiggins.ms, we are announcing our candidacy for the 4th Congressional District. Gerard, I will tell you, I have been all over the 4th Congressional District in different capacities and have heard from many, many people. And I will tell you, the people are sick and tired of the self-interest and self-dealing of politicians in D.C. and, quite honestly, those that we have locally. I mean, the mayor of Moss Point is serving 2 years in prison right now. We all know Bill Walker at DMR and what happened with that. And since I've been in the Mississippi Senate, I have fought certainly the corruption side of things, and just as evidenced by the DMR Accountability Act that I authored and we got passed in the wake of DMR. But what I've also done is do legislation that's effective, fight for people on the things that are important to them. Many people that know me know that I am proud of the legislation that's the Early Learning Collaborative Act that has started with nothing in Mississippi, and now we're top 5 in the country in early education. It's about being effective, and what I have heard is that people want effective leadership. And look, I know people have asked me today, they said, well, it's a crowded field. Yes, it is. But I think that's a statement on what our representation is in D.C. And people want somebody that's going to fight. I've been fighting for 10 years since I've been in the Senate. I fought to bring BP dollars and keep them in South Mississippi. And by the way, that includes some of that money coming to places like Sumrall and in places like Hattiesburg. I fought to bring transparency to the people, and I've gotten things done. And that's what people tell me that they want. People are tired of the platitudes and the comments that get thrown out in D.C. They want to see something done. Look, Democrats can't even get stuff done, which, by the way, is not necessarily a bad thing. But guess what? It's about governing, and people want to see us get stuff done, and they're tired of the comments that get made and nothing being done.
Yeah, I think certainly there's a lot of truth to that, folks, on both sides of the aisle. There's a lot of frustration among the Democrats in this country because the Democrat-controlled Congress and White House can't seem to get the agenda through, and a lot of that's just because of the dissension that exists within the Democrat ranks, certainly in the Senate, in the U.S. Senate, and to some extent in the House of Representatives. But I think you're absolutely right. There's always this kind of feeling of optimism by voters when they get behind a particular candidate and they like the candidate's message, like the candidate's policy positions, and then they get to Washington and it just seems like it's status quo and stuff doesn't happen. I think you're spot on that. I guess the question is, Senator, should you prevail and be fortunate enough to be seated and represent Mississippi's Congressional District 4, how do you fight through that? Have you thought about that when you got 435 there in the House and your party may not be in control? Hopefully, it will be in 2022. How do you deal with that?
Well, Yeah, Gerard, a couple things. So first of all, I've been dealing with it since I've been in the legislature. When I ran for the Senate, okay, I took on a three-term incumbent. People told me that we would not be successful, but I heard
Yeah.
the people; they wanted a change, and I got in, and we won with 60% of the vote against an established incumbent. If and I said, if people want the status quo, then they don't need me. And same thing in DC. I am not going up there to do the status quo. And I will tell you, you yourself have been around Jackson. You've been around DC. There's a lot of people and a lot of temptations that pull you in different directions. That is
Yeah.
not me. I have faced that down in Jackson, and honestly, I think have come out pretty good. And to your point about the frustration, I get it. But in that scenario in the legislature, we've been able to, again, bring $10 million to the Port of Pascagoula, set the table for early education in the state of Mississippi, increase penalties for child abusers. All those were pieces of legislation that I authored. And what I hear is that we're not getting that representation. And I think, look, there's multiple people in this race. But I'm the one that's been there and that has been through the ringer, so to speak. And I'm willing to listen to people. I'm also willing to make sure that we get the ball across the goal line, so to speak, in terms of legislation. And I think that's what people want. In fact, I know that's what they want because they're telling me. But let me say this too, Gerard. People want an advocate. And I hear so many good things in South Mississippi. I mean, I'm a fourth generation South Mississippian. We got Ingalls Shipbuilding that makes 70% of the nation's Navy ships. We got Chevron with their largest refinery. We got Southern Miss, which is a leading marine research institution. We got Chancellor Engineering up in Laurel. I mean, we got so many positive things that we ought to be lapping the field. And I just don't hear that. People want somebody to advocate for them. And I know this. When I went up to Jackson, people told me to sit down and be quiet. Guess what? I didn't do that. And in my first, certainly year, I got legislation passed. I didn't sit down. If I'd listened to them, the fourth district, my Senate district wouldn't have the things that we've seen, nor would South Mississippi. And that's just not who I am. I'm ready to take on the status quo because we need something different.
How has the reception and response been, Senator, since the announcement? And now I know you had an inner circle, I'm sure, that was aware you guys were preparing it. You're out of the gate. I've seen your ad and so forth. All great stuff. What's been the response so far?
Well, it's been great. And to your point, the inner circle, as you say, you have to have a team, and
sure.
Nobody can do this on their own. And I think that shows actually my leadership in trying to assemble a team that can get us to where we need to go. The public reception has been fabulous. I will tell you, as part of our team, we have people from Laurel, from Hattiesburg, from Picayune, from Gulfport, from Pascagoula, from George County. This district is more than just the coast. It's about the Pine Belt as well. I have reminded people of that. And so we've been receiving kudos and excitement from all across South Mississippi.
Awesome. We got a break coming up here in a second. We got about 30 seconds. If you can hang on, I got some more questions for you.
Sure.
But in the meantime,
yes.
All right, good. In the meantime, what about fundraising money? You have any goal or idea what you think you'll need to succeed in this race?
Yeah, I mean, to run campaigns, it takes money, and we've filed our paperwork last night, or actually the day before. And so we're hitting the fundraising trail. From what our internal numbers show is that we are meeting our numbers. Literally, when our announcement video went up this morning, I had
Okay.
people ready to donate, and not ready. They have been donating from across the district, and so it does take money to run a campaign, and we'll be out hitting the trail.
All
And
right.
but it's something that you got to do, and I'm
Sure.
looking forward to it.
Hang tight. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. We've got Senator Brice Wiggins talking about his candidacy for the United States Congress for Mississippi's CD4. Stay with us. We'll be right back. SuperTalk Studios, our guest is Senator Brice Wiggins. He has just announced earlier today that he will be a candidate for Congressional District 4 in Mississippi's southern region. That seat, of course, presently held by Congressman Stephen Palazzo. So, Senator, you were talking about raising money, and of course, you're no stranger to this, and you understand you got to have money to run a campaign. But you shared with us that having announced, you've had lots of folks already contact you, say they're willing to part with some money to help and support your campaign. That's what it is.
Look, campaigns are not cheap. And
Yep.
as you see behind me, I have our website, bricewiggins.ms. People can go there to donate. I will give you a hot off the press. We had a little glitch this morning, but that's being worked on, which is to be expected. That happen when you're running with a campaign like this. But yeah, they can go to our website. We're going to be actually in the Pine Belt area starting later this week, meeting folks, shaking hands, fundraising. We've already got events scheduled in places like George County and the coast. And so it's all part of it. And look, one thing I've learned in this position and being in politics is if you're not willing to do the hard stuff, then you're not going to be that good of a legislator. And some of the hard stuff is actually raising money. And I found that out on my first campaign with the Senate. Like I said, we took on a three-term incumbent at that time, and we won. And people didn't want to give us money. We said, we're going to work hard. I've got a team that's pushing me. We're going to work hard. If people have watched our social media in just different capacities, we've been all around South Mississippi, and I'm willing to do the hard work. But that also translates into the job itself. You have to be willing to do the hard work. You know, a lot of the stuff, believe it or well, I guess people should believe it, happens behind and away from the cameras.
Sure.
I handle the Medicaid budget, as you know, which is the single largest budget item in the state of Mississippi. And guess what? 97% of that was handled behind the cameras. And when I say behind, I meant talking with fellow legislators and agency heads and stuff like that. It's not what you see. And when I did the early learning collaborative bill, that took time drafting it, and it took time to do that. And that's what it takes to put it in. If you're not willing to put in things like asking people for money, because that's what it is. And I'll say this, I'm not a rich man. I've worked for everything that we have. And if people go to our website, they will see what it means to and where we came from. My grandfather started out as a welder at Ingalls. My dad was the first one in our family, to go to college and then medical school. He worked at the paper mill in the summers. My great-grandfather, my grandmother, Jean Meredith, who, if you go to our website, you'll see her picture. She grew up in the hills of Tennessee, and she remembers when there wasn't power. It's about working hard, and we're willing to do those things to represent the people. And speaking of that, working hard is what's in our DNA down here in South Mississippi.
Yeah, I think it certainly applies to South Mississippi. I believe it applies across the great state of Mississippi as well. But appreciate your candor there for sure. So, Senator, I think the obvious question is, with respect to you and the present office holder, that being Congressman Stephen Palazzo, help us distinguish between you two. What do you feel like are your key differences, certainly from a policy perspective, if there are any?
Well, the first key difference, Gerard, is that I don't have ethical violations hanging over my head. Okay, that's first and foremost. And I'm not saying anything as a as a shot against congressmen, but the reality is that's a fact, and I don't have that. And you can bet that affects your ability to get stuff done. So that's number one. Number two, and I didn't even come up with this stat, but somebody put it out there that in my 10 years, I've introduced and gotten past 40 bills, and Congressman Palazzo too. Now, and part of that time, the Republicans were in control of Congress. Now, look, I'm Republican. It's about small government. And just because you get things passed, and some of those are different. But what it shows is that you're willing to work to get those things done. Also, I've been a prosecutor. I know I've put criminals in prison. I've put murderers and drug dealers and child offenders in prison. I've passed legislation that increased offenses against children. So if you want the things that we've been seeing about our attacks on law enforcement and first responders, I know what is there. I was working with them in the DA's office for 8 years when I was prosecuting. Also, I've been on the Appropriations Committee, and I've been chairman of in fact, 2 major committees. And so I don't think that's the case for the current office holder. And look, hey, I don't know what he's going to do. And there's other people in this race. I understand that. And guess this is the American way, and this is how it should be, and let the people decide. I'm not really, from a standpoint of why we should just quote go with the incumbent. I'm not sure why that has to be the case. At the end of the day, this is a job interview. You are interviewing me to be a legislator, and Congress is the legislative branch. And so I would ask people to keep an open mind and look at that. Go to our website. On our website, we have policy positions for all kind of policy issues that people can click on there and see, from national defense to abortion to corruption to being a leader, and you'll see that. And I think that shows that we're listening to the people.
Yeah, it has always seemed to me, Senator, just kind of an observance as an outsider in the political realm, an observation, I should say, that this party tends to kind of promote the next person in line. That there's just been this sort of traditional succession. You start here, you go there, you can't leapfrog this. You're not really at the point where you should seek this or that office. That just seems to be inconsistent with our Constitution, for sure. It doesn't say anything about the next person in line, as far as I know. And it's how we end up, I think, often with candidates, good candidates, that just stay out. What are your thoughts about that?
Gerard, I think you said it very well. And, in America, we love competition. And I understand the reason for the next in line, if you will. And back in the old days, when you had certainly you had Thad Cochran and the Trent Lotts, and even before then, when it was all Democrat, you had the John Stennis's and those folks. That maybe was the case, but it's a different time now. It's a different generation. And I personally have seen how new energy brings new ideas. This new crop, and I call it a crop of freshman senators, have been great and have a lot of energy. And that may have been good, but the reality is, in this situation, is our voice and our representative, literally to the world in D.C., is faced with ethical violations, and that's a fact. That's not something that Brice Wiggins came up with. That's not something that anybody else do. And I know this: we're better. We are better in South Mississippi, and I think that I have a record of taking that on, things like that. And to your point, it should let the best man win, kind of thing.
Yeah. So I got one final question for you as we're running out of time. So one of the complaints we hear all the time, not just in Congressional District 4, but really, I think, to a great extent across the country, folks get elected to Congress, they go up to Washington, we don't see them as much. They're not as visible to their constituents in their districts. Tell us how you'll operate from that perspective.
I hear that all the time, and I will tell you, I think that's why people are excited about our candidacy. If you have followed my career, you know I will not shy away. I'm on all the social media. I'm out and about. I will not be hiding in D.C. I face the voters. I'm open to anything. I will not shy away. I think, it's the old saying, people gone D.C. or people cater to the swamp. To a version, Jackson has his version of the swamp. And
Yeah.
I think with my faith and my family that we have been grounded on that. And I can tell you that I will not be going up there to give in to the swamp, if you will. But I will be going up there to having a mind and represent our interests and be an effective legislator for the people of
We
South
got to go.
Mississippi.
Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
We're going to hold you to that too, Senator, if you get elected, and good luck
As
to
you
you, sir.
should.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, man. See you later.
Thank you very much.